Hi and welcome to another mindfulness video. I'm Craig and this video is basically about what we practice in the moment. What we can do in the moment will affect our future, and so what we practice in the now is of fundamental importance to our future. And you could say, let's have a look at the sheet, we'll go straight into it. There's a person, and you could say that that's our current state of being. So we've all got our state of being currently at the moment, with whatever it is that's happened in our life has brought us to this moment. And you could say you're kind of on some level, you're between fear and love. You can see there's a scale on this sheet that says fear and love. So dependent on your past and what's happened to you in your past, you'll be at a certain point on this scale. Now, when you're in the love part of this scale, you're very relaxed, you're very happy, you're joyful, you have a lot of energy, you're creative, you're basically in your natural state as a human. We're all have a capacity to have this love and to have this kindness and compassion in our lives. But what tends to stop us from getting there is the fear. So this is the opposite end. When you're further down towards fear, you're more likely to be anxious or worried about the future, or tense, stressed. Perhaps you have tiredness a lot of the time, you're fatigued, you have low energy, you might be feeling, more angry than usual. You could have illness as well. You're basically struggling a bit in life, you're suffering more than maybe you would like. So these are the two opposite ends of this scale. So what we practice today and from now on will determine whether we go up towards the love part of this scale or we go down towards the fear part of this scale. And this will happen every single day. You're never going to be right up at love all the time. Although, you'll find with mindfulness practice is that you're less likely to be down at the fear. You're more likely to be keeping sort of in this direction anyway, going towards the love. And obviously things are going to happen in our life that we're not going to have control over, which might knock us down again a bit towards the fear. But the thing with mindfulness is about noticing, and about noticing what current state of being we're at. So if we're noticing that we're losing joy and happiness, for example, and we're going down this way towards the anxiety, frustration, anger route, then we can catch these things with our mindfulness. And by catching them, you're not feeding them, you're not making them worse, you're observing how you're reacting to a certain situation. That can be very, very powerful, as I'll explain as the video goes on. So there's a person, and you could say that they're in life, there's these things called the four consumptions. Basically what makes us our current state of being. So one there is food. Obviously what we eat will affect how we feel and how our body is feeling, and our weight and everything like that. So again, if we're mindlessly eating lots of food, maybe we're comfort eating or we're craving chocolate all the time and we're eating we're just eating and eating, and maybe we're filling a gap or a void of boredom or loneliness or something that we're not seeing in our mindfulness. We're just subconsciously just, I need food, I need to comfort myself, I need to cheer myself up. Then you could say you're consuming food in a non-mindful way. Of course, if you're also eating a lot of junk food and chips and things like that, then obviously it's good to notice what we eat and notice when our body is feeling like it needs something different. It's always good to tune in to how your body is feeling. So food is a very obvious consumption. But we've also got senses there, number 2, and we consume with our senses. So with our eyes, our ears, and our sense of smell, and our touch and taste, we use our awareness to sense things around us. And in mindfulness, we use awareness a lot because we're grounding ourselves in the moment with it. So, consumptions could be TV, music, these kind of things that we're consuming through our senses. And of course, the more you consume a certain thing, the more your brain gets used to it. So again, what we practice is what happens to us. What we become is what we tune into, if you like. So, an example I give quite a lot is if you're watching a lot of sort of negative news headlines and that's making you feel anxious or worried, you're actually feeding your anxiety and your worry for the future through watching these images on the screen. So again, very useful practice to notice what it is we watch, what it is we listen to, what our brain gets used to, or how we react to things. Because then when we notice what we're reacting, how we're reacting to things, we have a choice of then maybe turning the news off, not watching it as much perhaps, or you're changing the way you consume. And that's a useful tool. So we've got our senses as well, but we've also got motivations and intentions there. And what we do in life, our doing, you could say, is motivated by something. There's an intention behind our doing. And it's good to practice to notice whether this doing comes from a place of more love or more fear. And I give an example as well of you're giving a gift to someone, maybe that's an intentional thing. It's like, I want to just cheer someone up. I know my neighbor is really struggling at the moment. I'm going to bake a cake, and I'll bake this lovely cake and I'll just leave it on a doorstep, and that's it. That's my motivation for baking this cake is to cheer this person up. So you could say that that motivation comes from a more love place because you're intentionally wanting to help or wanting to ease someone's suffering. There's compassion and kindness in that intention. Whereas we have other intentions in life when we're more down into the fear. Maybe we rush to a shop to buy something for ourselves, and we're noticing there's just one left on the shelf. But we're not worried about anybody else. We're like, I must have this. That intention is based on a fear. Just like, people can stockpile things like food and things like that because they're worried that, they might not be able to get back to the shop or whatever. So when the motivation underneath has an emotion like worry or tension in some way, then that motivation is based more on fear than love, and that will keep you down here in the future. So again, very useful to notice is what is it that motivates us? Are we acting out of kindness and compassion for ourselves and for other people? Or are we acting just for our own self-interests or our own safety or our own protection? It's good to notice, because if you're doing more of the self-protection, then you're not really being compassionate or kind to anybody else. It's all about you. And as I've been saying in a lot of these videos, when you're up here just thinking about you tend to suffer more, you're more worried and more stressed. So letting go of thinking about you, but thinking about the collective we, you, me and everybody and the planet and everything, is a better way, is a better intention perhaps for you, and it will help you move more up to this love part of the scale. So yeah, that's motivations, and we have thoughts there as the last consumption. And your thoughts, we do consume them. So whatever we think also is what tends to happen in the future, So we practice our thoughts, but we're often unconscious. We're not noticing them a lot. For example, you might beat yourself up a lot in your thoughts. You might say you're no good, or you've failed, or you've done that all wrong. And so all those kind of thoughts are coming in and you're consuming them, and that's fueling anxiety and frustration in yourself, and tension, and maybe doubt in your abilities, and keeping you at low confidence, and these kind of things. So your future will remain that way unless you notice these thoughts and don't attach to them. Let them go. You might notice that there's a thought that you're worthless or something, but it's a thought. You are not your thoughts. And so as the observer of your thoughts, you'll be like, I've caught that thought that's saying that I'm no good. Well, off you go, thought. That's not, thank you for coming, but I'm not going to attach to you. In fact, I'm going to affirm that I'm doing okay. I'm doing my best, and then that affirmation, that thought of I'm doing my best, is then what fuels the future. So very good practice to notice your thoughts. So that's your 4 consumptions, and this is what happens in our life, and dependent on what these things are doing will give us an outcome of more love or more fear. So it's entirely up to you how you notice where you are and which way you're going. And this is how you do it. I'm just going to scroll down so you get to this bit. So, number 1, mindfulness. There's a person sitting on their meditation cushion. They're observing what they consume by being. And mindfulness is all about being. So when you're practicing mindfulness and you've got a regular practice of it, you're being every day, perhaps you're meditating every day, or perhaps you're mindfully walking where you feel the ground under your feet, or you're mindfully listening to sounds in nature, birds, waterfalls, the rain, the wind, or perhaps you're sitting in a chair and you're feeling the chair that you're sitting on, or perhaps you're doing yoga or something like that and you're mindfully moving, you're noticing how your body is feeling. All of these things is mindfulness. You might be drinking your mindful cup of tea, by really enjoying your cup of tea. All of these practices, mindfulness is about being in the present with your awareness of what it is you're doing, and you're noticing things. And this is pivotal to knowing where you are on this fear-love scale and what it is you're doing subconsciously, without true awareness. The more presence that you can cultivate for yourself, the more awareness, the more you'll notice what it is you're doing. And the more you'll notice that, well, actually, maybe that habit isn't that helpful, maybe, maybe I need to change, maybe I need to turn the news off. So as long as you can manage, I've said there, even 5 minutes is helpful to practice mindfulness, and it really is. You're cultivating a routine practice of it. So you can formally sit and meditate 5 minutes every day if you want to do that. That can be hard for beginners. It's better, in my view, to start off by noticing when you're feeling uncomfortable with something, when you're resisting something. So when you get angry, annoyed, anxious, worried, frustrated about something that's going on in your life, that is the best practice to pause, to take a breath. Do feel that in breath, feel that out breath, and just come back to yourself. Use your awareness to ground yourself in the moment and become curious about what's going on. Why am I annoyed? Why am I anxious? What is this feeling telling me? It's a nice signal, it's a friendly signal to tell you to tune back into the moment and look after yourself and to give yourself compassion and kindness. If we don't notice what we're thinking or what's affecting us, then we just stay in our thinking, and that is not always true, and a lot of the thoughts are negative and judgmental. So we're noticing our judgments and things like this. So practicing mindfulness is being in the moment, being aware of what you're doing and not thinking about it, not judging it, not resisting it. The rain is falling outside. We're not going, I hate the rain, I'm fed up with the rain. That's I and me and ego and thinking about ourselves. It's better to go, rain is happening. I'm hearing the rain. I can use it as a meditation practice. So letting go of the judgment of the rain is helping you move towards the love part of this scale. So here's some examples as well. It leads to awareness. The more mindfulness you practice, your awareness expands. So number 2. So here's the 4 consumptions again. So food, you start to notice things. You start to notice that you're craving chocolate, perhaps. You're noticing when that happens. Maybe you're bored or you're restless. And so you're getting more curious about these things. So rather than just rushing, reaching for that chocolate, subconsciously, you've paused. You're like, craving, how interesting, I have a craving. Let me sit with it for a bit, let me be mindful of it, let me be gentle with it, instead of just rushing off. Let me take my time, let me really scan my body, am I hungry? Do I really need this? Or what's triggered it? Is it because I'm bored? Can I sit with the boredom for a bit? What is boredom? What is it? How does it feel? Even just teasing into that, even just a minute or 2 minutes of sitting with things like that may decide that you won't go to the chocolate, or it might decide that you do. Either way is fine. We're not judging anything in mindfulness, and we're not beating ourselves up if we notice a craving and then we go and eat anyway. It's fine. We do what we have to do to survive, but it's good to start observing what is going on. Again, with the senses, imagery, sounds, what are you feeling when you're watching something on the TV? Is it causing you tension? Is it causing you anxiety? If it is, then you have a choice of carrying on watching that TV or changing the channel, or noticing, sitting with your emotions. If you're anxious, it's better to breathing in anxiety, my old friend, breathing out calmness. It's better to hug your anxiety and welcome it and be with it, not be distracted by what it is you're watching or getting wound up by it. So again, mindfulness can help with these things. I've talked about motivations and intentions. Are they based on fear or love? Are they habits? I have a fear of being late, and it is a fear. So when I'm late for things, I'm anxious and wound up because I'd rather be there early. And if I'm stuck and I can't get there early, I notice that can make me feel uncomfortable. But again, the motivation of rushing, of getting there on time, is based on fear. So it's better again, and I have been practicing, not rushing, taking my time, affirming I'm doing okay, knowing that, I'll get there, it'll be fine, and even if I do get there late, what's the worst that can happen, but you're basing things on a more conscious approach. You're not up here doing it all subconsciously and not realizing that you're feeding your future anxiety. And as I was saying, your thoughts, number 4, are you judging? Are you thinking negatively about something? Are you thinking about me, just me? That's good practice, because if you are judging things, if you're judging yourself, you're going into fear. If you're judging other things, you're going into fear. You're resisting the present moment. You're not staying present, so you're not mindful. You're up here. The longer you're up here in future or past thinking, it tends to be negative. You tend to be mulling over problems or worrying about the future. What if this happens? I'm worried about that, and oh my God, how's this going to be coped with? And I'm really tense about the whole thing. My life is really, So noticing your thoughts with kindness and compassion, breathing with them, taking your time to kind of see which ones you need and which ones you don't need. You can let go of the ones you don't need. You don't have to fuel them with your anxiety or with your tensions. Be with your tensions. Just, I'm anxious and that's okay. I'm just going to breathe with my anxiety and I'm going to let the thought of the future go away. I don't need to be thinking about tomorrow right now. I'm here. I've got a cup of tea and a nice bit of chocolate, so let me enjoy my chocolate and my cup of tea. That's what's happening now. So your mindfulness can help ground you in the moment. It can lead you to awareness of all these things. And once you're aware of them, you have a choice of what to do next, what the right action is. So as I say, this leads to right action. So your right action, your wisdom from what you're discerning, this is what you could do. You might decide to change your consumption. You might decide to eat soup instead of chips. You might decide to watch comedy instead of horror. You're noticing what affects you. But you're also accepting where you are on this scale. This is important because if you're right down here at the fear and you're wishing to be up here at the love, then you're not accepting where you currently are, and that can cause you suffering too, because you can beat yourself up if you're trying to go up here too hard and you're like, I just can't get this love-based stuff at all, and I'm always acting out of fear, and I'm useless, and da-da-da, then that's going to keep you down there. So you have to accept whatever it is you're doing, that is what you're doing right now. And in mindfulness, we don't judge, so it's okay. It's okay to cry, it's okay to feel bored, it's okay to feel lonely, it's okay to be struggling in life, it's okay for all these things to have an effect on you. You're not failing as a human, you're reacting as a human. How you react, if you can, be kind to that reaction, be kind to yourself, that's when things start to change. So accept where you currently are. You might have a vision that in 5 years' time you want to be this compassionate, kind, loving, healing, energized, creative person, but you don't have to think about it too hard. You've got the vision, you're here. So what do you do now that's going to help you to get to that vision? Drinking my tea, typing an email, breathing with my emotions, listening to the rain. That's what's happening now. Noticing if I'm judging the rain, pausing, breathing, letting go of the judgment. Letting go of the judgment of people, letting go of the judgment of where your life's at, letting go of everything, coming back to yourself, meditating, grounding yourself, all of these things, being patient with the outcome. So it says there on the sheet, don't force things to happen. This is called non-striving. It's being patient. You are where you are. If you attend to where you are with due diligence and attention, you'll do good. You'll notice. You'll let go of thoughts. You'll be with your emotions. You'll be kind to them. You'll be kind to yourself. And you know what? You're automatically going to get up there. So that's your inner wisdom, is noticing what you're doing now and reacting to it in a mindful way. And as I say, this leads to change. It leads to a new state of being. You're not going to be where you are. You're going to be constantly going up and down this scale. But the more mindfulness you practice, the more you're going to go up in that direction, the right direction, the wise direction. But notice what it is you feed, because that's what grows within you. If you're feeding anxiety all the time by lots of thinking about the future and what ifs, you want to be catching those things so that you don't feed your anxiety anymore with those thoughts. You're like, I'm with my anxiety. That doesn't feed it. that just gives it kindness. It actually helps it, reduce in emotional size. It's kind of like, yep, I feel anxious, but I'm with you. You're no longer a threat, anxiety. You're no longer a fear. What are you telling me? I'm going to be curious about why you're here. I'm going to send you kindness and compassion. I'm feeling better already. A few more deep breaths, maybe I need to meditate on this issue. Let me let go of my thinking brain, just come into being. Sometimes I get good ideas just sitting on this cushion, it's amazing. So notice what you're feeding. Your thoughts are the pivotal to this. Notice what it is you think and challenge what it is you think. Is it true? Are you being kind to yourself or others? Is this a necessary thought? Is this thought based on your past? Is it just you're worried because, you're speculating that this could happen because that happened back then in 1986 or whatever? It's kind of like, I'm here. This is a new day. What is it about this thing I'm resisting? Can I be kind? Can I be compassionate? Can I open my heart to what's happening? And so what you're feeding, you can also practice feeding things like joy and compassion and kindness. So you can be more selfless. You can bake a cake for your neighbor. That's feeding your kindness, and it's feeding their kindness. You can practice joy. You can practice doing things that you enjoy doing. Do you like to dance? Do you like to listen to music? Do you like to write? Are you creative? Do you draw? Do you colour in? Do you enjoy puzzles? Do something that gives you joy. Feed your joy. Tomorrow, more joy. If you're feeding, as I say, hate and despair and depression and anger because you're judging this and judging that, then that's what's going to happen tomorrow as well. So we practice things that we want, practice love, practice reaching out to people, practice equanimity, practice this non-discrimination. It's like I treat everything the same, it's all just a learning for me to open my heart, to see where I'm at, to see what's not working for me. Then I can change by accepting where I am and by just observing with my mindfulness. It's such a powerful, powerful practice. It can change your life. So I hope that this video has been useful and this sheet has been useful. You can download this sheet, incidentally, if you want to keep a copy of it. If you view www.craig-gilbert.com, and there's a link at the top of the YouTube channel. On the main page there's a link to videos, and if you click on that, click on this particular video, which is about what we practice today, gives us our future. You'll find this sheet on that page and you can download it. So you'd be very welcome to do that. And I hope that these videos have been useful for you. And please like and subscribe if you like these. Share if you like. Lovely to have subscribers and to have people liking my videos. Yeah, so I hope it's been useful. Have a good day, whatever it is you're doing. And remember to practice your being and your noticing, and I guarantee it will help you in your life. So that is the video. So thanks very much for watching.